Hello and welcome to another episode of Blood, Guts, and Social Commentary, as well as the fourth installment of our controversial art timeline. Today we start with 1980, Ozzy Osbourne's Suicide Solution. The song only became controversial when the parents of John McCollum blamed it for his suicide. Ozzy still maintains the song is about alcoholism and not about taking one's own life. Other bands have definitely had this same problem. Judas Priest was accused of putting subliminal messages in their song Better By You, Better Than Me, because when you played it backwards, it sounded like the words do it. As Rob Halford pointed out, do what? Have a Coke? Go outside? There's no explanation for what do it he's asking you to do. The band Blink-182 also had a similar issue when a fan decided to take their own life while playing Adam's Song on repeat. As the band pointed out, Adam's Song was actually an anti-suicide anthem. 1980, Cannibal Holocaust. This film also stood trial for obscenity charges. The big issue here was the cast had signed contracts saying that they wouldn't make any public appearances for a full year. This was to amp up the hype of the film and make sure it looked as realistic as possible. So all of them had to break that contract to come out of hiding to prove the director actually didn't kill anybody. This movie did feature real death of animals though, which there has been a big back and forth about. The director has claimed that he didn't want that and the producer put it in later, but the cast has also claimed, yeah, he totally wanted that and there's really no telling who was right. 1981, Minor Threat, Guilty of Being White. Minor Threat has gone on record multiple times saying this song is in no way, shape, or form racist. It was meant to be a commentary on the lead singer going to a predominantly black high school, but unfortunately, neo-Nazis have still taken this as a massive anthem. 1981, Anti-Nowhere League, So What? This song is really just the band explaining weird sex that they've had with whoever and sometimes whatever. It was meant to be a joke because they overheard two guys talking in a pub and trying to outdo each other with stories. So this was kind of their joking commentary on that. Due to the profanity though, they had every single copy seized by British police. Now it's become the band's anthem and was even covered by Metallica on the album Garage Inc. 1981, Richard Serra with Tilted Arc. Like Duchamp's The Fountain that was mentioned in the first video, this piece is really just debated on is it art? It was funded by the city of New York, and people were upset because they considered it to be an eyesore and a nuisance. The issue was it was also a publicly funded project, meaning that the people that hated it, their tax dollars went to pay for it. It was eventually demolished in 1989 due to complaints. 1983, Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Relax. Well, this is a poppy little happy tune, kind of obvious, especially to adults, maybe not so much to children, that they're singing about sex, most specifically premature ejaculation. So while that t-shirt may be super cool, it's kinda also really dirty. 1984, Prince with Darling Nikki. If anyone were to ever debate Prince's influence on music and pop culture, this song is the embodiment of that. First off, it talks heavily about sex, and when Tipper Gore heard her daughter listening to it, that's what motivated her to start putting warning labels on albums. 1984 to present, Shepard Fairey. Since most of Fairley's work is considered controversial, I'm just going to cover his entire career all in one go. He's probably best known for the Obey Andre the Giant image, also as well as the Obama Hope campaigns. Fairey started doing graffiti, so most of his work was deemed as vandalism, like most street or guerrilla artists that we'll deal with later. After working with several companies to do illegal graffiti for them, he still garners criticism from the graffiti and guerrilla art communities. During the George W. Bush era, he was accused of using his politically motivated art just to cash in on the fuck Bush mindset. There's also an issue with the fact that he manipulates copyrighted images. This has been met with many accusations of plagiarism, most notably the AP photo of Barack Obama for the Hope campaign. These accusations of plagiarism became even worse when he attempted to go after a few people for supposedly plagiarizing his own work. 1986, David Lynch's Blue Velvet. This film still garners criticism because of how it intermixes sex and violence and how that can be done consensually. 1988, Martin Scorsese, The Last Temptation of Christ. Many Christians were offended by seeing Jesus in a hallucination that was induced by Satan in this film. Not only that, but it represented him in a normal life and also included sex with Mary Magdalene. While Mary Magdalene is still a very disputed character among biblical scholars, this sparked a massive amount of outrage. It was pulled due to protests, namely from Blockbuster, which in 1988 was kind of a death knell for your film. And a lot of theaters refused to show it. And we hit a weird switch here, 1988, NWA, fuck the police. This had lyrics that threatened cops. There's not much more I can get into with this, unfortunately, because that's why it was deemed offensive. There were some issues with the group at the time as well for supposedly inciting violence. I'm sure most people saw Straight Outta Compton and have some idea of what this band went through and how controversial some of their stances were considered. I swear I'm going in chronological order, these switches aren't intentional. 1989, Judy Blume, Forever. This is one of the first books to talk about teen sex. This ends up with a girl going on the pill, and for the time period and with the AIDS epidemic, it was still a really hot button issue to discuss sex, let alone teenaged and underage sex. 1989, Spike Lee, Do the Right Thing. Many felt the climax of this film would incite copycat crimes. It didn't, and it talked very frankly about race relations, which, again, still in 1989 was a very uncomfortable topic. 1991, American Psycho. This is another one of those film-book combo, and I'm just going to address them both at the same time. Both the book and film contain graphic sex and violence normally likened to one another. It's also considered to be highly misogynistic, which does make sense because the main character is clearly just a sociopath who doesn't care about anybody, male or female. 1991, Garth Brooks, The Thunder Rolls. This is kind of a weird entry, and I kind of never expected to talk about Garth Brooks on a list like this. The controversy in this one is found specifically in the third verse of the song, and it was dropped in many performances. This song centers around a husband who is cheating on his wife, and he's also abusive towards her. The dropped lyric is, she runs down the hallway and through the bedroom door. She's reaching for the pistol she keeps in the dresser drawer. Tells the lady in the mirror he won't do this again, because tonight will be the last time she wonders where he's been. In the music video for this, it actually does show the woman shooting her husband and killing him, which did lead to it getting banned from a lot of networks. One other country singer I'd like to point out on this one is Martina McBride did a song called Independence Day that deals almost exactly with the same topic, except for in this instance, the kid that they have between them is at a parade, and in that time she decides to burn the house down with her and her husband both in it to get out of the abusive situation. Martina McBride's song didn't get nearly as much controversy as Garth Brooks. I'm not sure why, because as far as I'm concerned, two people burning to death is slightly more horrible than a guy getting shot, but that's just how it went. 1991, Damien Hirst, The Physical Impossibility of Death in the Mind of Someone Living. Hirst is an artist that, again, could pretty much have an entire video to himself, so I'm just gonna hit his biggest work. This piece is a dead shark suspended in formaldehyde. The controversy comes from an age-old argument of, is this art? There is also people that were upset by the fact that Hirst paid somebody to catch and kill a shark to display, because this is a real shark in that tank. The first shark began to deteriorate due to poor preservation, so he commissioned another one to be caught and killed. The big problem with that is the museum had actually already taken the skin off of the shark and put it on a wire rack that would have lasted longer. So this begs the question, not only was it art, but is this art worth an animal's life? That concludes today's episode. Join us next week where we pick up at 1992 with Banksy. If you like what you're hearing, please hit like and subscribe. If you don't like what you're hearing, please comment and let me know what you'd like to hear. Thank you.